Let's see here. What did the duck say when she bought lipstick and put it on my bill? That's okay. Let's see. Let's see. What do you give us? What do you give to a sick lemon? Lemonade. Lemonade. What do you call a monkey that loves Doritos? A chipmunk. A chipmunk. Oh, that's good stuff. Why
are you reading really bad dad jokes?
Oh, I always like to find something to read when I'm sitting on the toilet. So I was trying.
Are you implying something?
No, I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Thank goodness. Maybe we should start.
Okay.
It's the Something About Something show with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend, Mr. Ricky Pope.
Ugh.
Oh,
dad jokes.
Dad jokes. You gotta love dad jokes. Dad jokes. Yeah.
They are something.
Tell my kids a lot of stories, and a lot of times they don't believe what I'm saying. And it gets to the point where, as they gotten older, they had a,
hey,
hi, Dan.
Good to have you.
Yeah. So, at one time, my kids would look at me when I was telling them the truth about stuff, and they would look at me and go, okay, Dad. Actually, would look at Mom and go, is he saying the truth or not? Is that why Dad is checking the candy because there's a razor in there, or is he just trying to eat all my Snickers? So
there's that.
There's that. So how's your week?
Yeah. Going well.
Good.
Not too exciting, which is a good thing for me.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Too much excitement around my house is not a good thing.
Well, I mean, nothing so much going on at the Schilling Casa. So except for Manny, we have the Manny cam, and let's take a look at that Manny. There we go. A little rear action there.
As usual.
I think I probably need to place the Manny cam on the opposite. But
as soon as you do, he'll look the other way.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand either. Maybe he's camera shy. Maybe he just,
I don't know. He doesn't like seeing himself. I don't know. It's weird.
Man.
It's a thing though.
So I'm going to tell you what, I've enjoyed WandaVision.
I am loving WandaVision. Yes.
Before we get started tonight we are doing I would say a mid-season recap of WandaVision.
Yes.
So far we just had, it's episode 4 or 5. I kind of get
4.
It's 4. Okay. I get a little confused because the first show had 2 episodes or
the first week had 2 episodes.
Yeah, so it depends how you want.
Officially, we're episode 4.
Episode 4.
Week 3, episode 4.
So, you boys and girls out there in TV land or internet land or whatever we're doing, YouTube land, Facebook land, Instagram land, whatever land we're in, tonight we will have hit it.
That is your spoiler alert.
That's right. Now, we're going to recap and talk about some Easter eggs that we found in the show. We both did some research. Hello. Oh, Dan Leckie.
Dan from Scotland.
Oh, I'm honored to have. Yes. What was the question? What was the question what do you use for streaming? StreamYard, Restream, something else? We use StreamYard, Dan.
StreamYard. Yep.
Absolutely. And it has been really good to us. There's good features, and there's some features that we were hoping to, they might have pretty soon on top of that. But thank you for having me on the show. Todd VC says, wow, the impersonation you guys are doing are great. The makeup, the prosthetics are amazing. I almost thought you switched sides. Of anyone in the group that would have spotted that would be Todd.
Todd spotted it right off the bat.
Yes.
We made some Mike made some subtle changes in his studio, and now it makes more sense for us. Otherwise, it's going to look like this. And we're gonna not look at each other the whole show.
We're mad at we're basically mad at each other, and we're just.
I love that somebody saw it and commented.
I figured, Todd, of anybody in the group. Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed the other thing that just changed.
What's that?
Over the last minute or so, I have slowly shrank. And I'm continuing down. I'm continuing to shrink just a little bit.
You know, that happens when you get older. You know that.
My chair has almost reached the bottom of its reach. I think maybe I have finally settled into a spot where I'm not going to go down any further. But I like
3/4 of the show are just see your glasses, and that's it.
Pretty much. I do feel really low right now, though.
Hey, Daryl McCarty.
Good to have you.
So tonight, and we just want to let you know, we're going to go through 1 to 4, and they do have a mid-season trailer recap.
Yes.
But we're just going to talk about what we saw, some Easter eggs, maybe some theory.
Maybe a little bit about the mid-season trailer, because there's some pretty cool stuff in there too.
Yeah. We're just going to kind of go. Yeah. Hey, Jason Hamilton, wait. You guys are on different sides. I don't like it. Put it back. Too bad, Jason Hamilton.
Hey, Mike. So how's it going?
I'm not talking to you.
I'm not talking to you either.
Fine. We can do this for the entire show.
Exactly. I can't do this. There you go, Jason Hamilton. That's why we can't do that.
There we go. So tell us, engross me into WandaVision. And
are we going to do that before we do stupid news?
Oh man, I was so into. Let's do some stupid news. I almost forgot about stupid news.
Let's do the stupid news. This is the stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
I almost forgot about the stupid news. Isn't that?
How can you forget about? People will remind us and complain.
Yes, like they do when we do stupid news.
It's the one thing people complain about. That if we don't do it.
Well, might as well complain. Well, I did see an article in the news, and it's about our endearing wombat. You know what a wombat is, right? From Australia.
I do know a bit about a wombat.
Kind of a bear. Yeah.
When I was a kid, there was a show. A PBS show about a wombat.
Really?
Yes. Well, I don't remember what it was called, but now I'm curious and have to have to look it up.
Well, a fascinating thing in the science world, for years, scientists has been wondering why wombat poop is cube shaped.
What?
Yeah, it's basically
wombat poop is cube shaped.
We're not going Marvel here with the whole,
space
cubes. But yes. So yeah, really, they've been so concerned about it. They've actually did a study, and currently they, and it's I think they found in the hilly sides of Australia and Tasmania. And of course, this is where the scientists are at the University of Tasmania. They discovered this curious phenomenon, which, okay. So if you want to call it that, they're using laboratory testing and mathematical models. A team of researchers found there are 2 stiff and 2 flexible areas around the circumference of a wombat intestine. Did you know that?
No, I did not know any of that.
Well, Ricky, their intestine is at least 33 feet long and is around 10 times the length of a wombat's body. I know you wanted to know this.
That is fascinating and more than I needed to know.
Not only that, this ability to form a uniform, clean-cut feces is unique in the animal kingdom. The wildlife ecologist Scott Carver, who's from the University of Tasmania, had in that statement. They said they place these feces at prominent points in their home range, such around rocks or logs, to communicate with each other. Can you imagine that if you and me did the show and the only thing we did to talk to each other, we pooped on screen.
That would not.
I mean, it'd be no different than what we do right now.
Yeah,
what we verbally say, but can you imagine that?
I don't want to imagine that.
So it's renowned for pooping distinctive. It's a cube-shaped poo, and the ability to form, is it's very unique in the kingdom. Apparently, they're all excited about this. So Carver said the discovery that the cubes are created inside a soft tube reveals an entirely new way of manufacturing cubes, which could have implications for manufacturing, clinical pathology, and digestive health. So there you go.
Okay, that is fascinating.
Is that fascinating? I knew this is. I knew. Yeah, I knew this is something you wanted to know about.
That is the kind of stuff that I hear on Radio Lab.
Well, I'm glad I could help.
Nice. What else you got for stupid news today?
Well, let me make sure.
Other than square-shaped poop.
That's true. Let's see. I'm trying to get. Oh, I cannot. Ooh, I locked myself out. I guess I'm in as a guest because I cannot get to our banners. Let's see here.
I am trying. Click on any pictures.
Oh, no, I'm just sorry. I was thinking too much about wombat poop. There you go. There he is, right there. I didn't find the poop. I didn't find pictures of the poop.
I'm kind of glad.
Yeah,
I'm a little glad.
Speaking of weird things, we're going to talk about Elon Musk. Elon is up to his crazy hijinks again. Apparently, Elon Musk says that one of his startups has to do with a monkey with wires going through its brain, and that's able to play video games.
Really?
Yes, it's a startup he has, and he claims that he's a happy monkey. So there's no issues about, the wires in the brain and all that. Of course, we all know Musk, who's the chief executive officer of, the Tesla and the backer of the numerous other futuristic projects, including Neuralink. Yeah. And this Neuralink Corporation is behind this, which I find is interesting. This is kind of a sci-fi thing, kind of Planet of the Apes type of deal.
It's the cyberpunk waiting to happen.
Exactly. And I don't know whether he can do anything about his junk, but let's continue with the story. A startup focused on developing a brain-computer interface. He said videos of plugged in, and whatever he calls them, I don't know. I'm not going to mispronounce it. Would be released soon, perhaps around a month.
I'm sorry.
Elon Musk plays with these. Oh, I just saw that. Oh, this is comedy at its. And this is what you get. I wasn't about even something.
I wasn't even laughing about what Jason just said.
What were you laughing about?
I mentioned cyberpunk, and you went, I don't know if he could do anything with his junk. And I was like, what? And then Cyberpunk 2077 hit me in the brain. I was like, oh my gosh. I lost it after that. And thank you, Jason Hamilton, for making me think of
Another Man's Junk. Yes.
Dieter from Saturday Night Live.
You want to touch my monkey?
Do you want to touch my monkey?
Musk was... No, that's okay. No, it's all good.
Our viewership just went down.
We just went down. Yeah, that's okay. I almost went off, So anyway. So Musk was asked about the latest development. It's at a San Francisco-based Neuralink, he said, which was unveiled in 2017. Oh, and of course, we know Musk also founded the space exploration technology and all that.
Yep.
But his biggest thing is artificial intelligence. He said, we have a monkey with a wireless implant in their skull with tiny wires who can play video games with his mind. Musk told several thousand listeners in a Clubhouse chat room.
Clubhouse.
You can't see where the implants is, but he's a happy monkey. We have the nicest monkey facility in the world. We want him to play Pong with his mind. So basically they got the monkey plugged up and he's playing Pong. It's kind of like you and me going back and forth on the screens, kind of like Pong this way. Exactly. So
That's fascinating. I am actually honestly fascinated by
No, it
this.
is fascinating. I didn't know how, some of the news, you don't know whether it cross over fascinating, weird, or a little sprinkle of stupid. And sometimes I
Yeah.
like to bring you all three. But
Yeah.
yes, so basically, and Musk explained that the goal with the brain linking technology is addressing brain and spinal injuries and making up people's lost capacity with an implant chip.
I
This,
could see that.
this is
Now
there's a,
see,
yeah.
can you imagine getting the brain implant, okay? And
Hmm.
then combining that with the Samsung robot handy from the CES show.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like taking the brain of a monkey and a human, and because I'd be at work slinging my feces every 5 minutes.
I think that's
So
how Planet of the Apes started.
yes, I know. Michael McCon said, "Would I still hit the wrong key and set the ship on fire?" Never mind. He's someplace else.
Yes, you.
Yes, he's at the clubhouse with Elon Musk. So
By the way, are you familiar with Clubhouse?
I no, I am not. Explain it to me, sir.
Okay, so just quick. This is a quick rabbit hole to run down.
Rabbits also have almost cube-like poop, but not quite. But go
Not
ahead.
quite.
Yes.
Yes. So Clubhouse is a new social media platform. It is all audio based,
Yes.
and you can only join by being invited by someone who's already on the platform.
Really?
Yes.
So is it it's very elitish? It's very, close.
Right now, because it's still technically in its beta stages.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see how far that goes, but I have been watching it closely because of what I do. Jason Hamilton, don't you swing your poo at work already?
Yes, the problem is with Jason, I'm working from home and my wife gets very irritated when I do that. So that's a sore subject for her. So let's move on. Oh, by the way, and to finish it up, he was talking about, of course, the lost capacity with an implanted chip. It also says that there are primitive versions of this device with wires sticking out of your head, but it's like a Fitbit in your skull. So I thought that was interesting. It was So anyway, that's Elon
That's
Musk.
fascinating.
I thought it was fascinating and also has a comical twist to it at the same time. So
I love that the one thing they have them doing is playing video games of all
I know.
things.
I know. If anything, but Pong, I guess Pong, I don't know.
Well, you got to start somewhere,
That's what, yes. Anyway, I wasn't going to say that.
Got anything else?
Well, coming up is Valentine's Day next week, and you have your loved ones, and some of them you no longer have your loved ones in the sense of they are your exes, and you want nothing to do with them. Of course, there's a situation. Valentine's Day is usually based on couples and people who are not couples who have lost a couple. I mean, as far as a relationship, let's just say it's not their favorite time of the year. But the San Antonio Zoo has something for you, my friends. Yes, just for $5, the San Diego Zoo will name a cockroach after your former significant other.
Do you get a certificate that you can send to them?
Not only that, you'll feed it to the birds, reptiles, or a mammal of your choice. Yes, it's part of the zoo's Cry Me a Cockroach event on Valentine's Day.
Oh my goodness. I love this so much. You must send me links to this. I love this so much.
I will do that.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
And if your ex-boo was especially skanky, pay $20 more to have the zookeepers feed a frozen rat to a reptile instead. For those for those who are not into critters, the zoo offers a $5 herbivore option that consists of romaine lettuce, cabbage, and other leafy greens that can be fed to vegetarian animals. We don't want to,
I don't want to. I don't want to name my ex after a piece of lettuce. Terrence asked, "Can you squish it?"
You probably could. He said the best part of the deal, you don't have to be at the zoo to watch your ex-turn pass get eaten. San Antonio Zoo plans to stream it live on Facebook Live.
This is Joni, and we're going to feed Joni to the I don't know.
And it'd be great if you can also submit a picture. You know, this is Joni, and this is Bob feeding Joni to a reptile. But as you said earlier, you will also receive a certificate to share on social media. If you're feeling brave enough, post it, tag it to that unlikely someone.
This is brilliant.
And Jilted Lovers have until February the 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The money will raise money from the Cry Me a Cockroach event. Will go towards expanding the zoo, jaguars habitat, and connect over the overhead walkway. But that's San Antonio shoe. That's great. I mean,
hey, Tiffany, bring up Jason's last comment there. Jason wants to know where PETA is on this one.
I don't know.
People eating tasty animals. I don't know. Reptiles eating people.
Reptiles
tasty animals.
Eating people.
Gross. Eating
and
gross
that,
animals.
my friends, is the stupid news.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
That's, my friends, is the stupid news. That, my friends, is the stupid news.
This has been the Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. I left that for last.
That's what I get for reading the comments rather than being on the page where I actually can click on the videos.
It's
if people could see behind the scenes, if only.
If only. If only.
If
only. Man. So where do we want to begin with this ball of goodness that we have to unravel?
Oh my goodness, WandaVision. Well, you know what? Let's start with some of the controversy, I think. Okay. It's not exactly controversy.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of I'm on a lot of geek, forum kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of people who tried to watch WandaVision.
Yeah.
They got through an episode or two.
Yeah.
And just are not, they're so far not getting it that they're probably not going to go any further.
That's sad.
That they're not going to hold out.
Yeah, that's sad.
See what the end result is.
Now, you think that may have to do, we talked about in earlier episodes, those who are the hardcore comic book fans that understands behind, or do they, Daryl McCarty says, I liked WandaVision until last week, then I loved it. What? I loved last week.
No, he says, then I loved it. He liked it, and then he loves it.
Sorry, I can't read. I was doing too many dad jokes in my head. So I agree with you.
When I started reading it, I thought he was like, oh, he doesn't like it. But
no, McCarty is a big Marvel and DC. Yeah. I mean, he knows. You
were alluding to the idea that there's a lot of backstory in the comic books.
Yes.
That help explain a lot of what's going on.
Yes, that's of course. And we talked about in previous episodes where it's kind of like your new Marvel movie fans, the people who have really never gotten the comic books and superheroes, but Marvel's made everything mainstream, which is good. They've done a great job. Mm-hmm. But those same people who are expecting the Marvel movies, when they sit down and watch these 3 episodes, I think a lot of people didn't know how to absorb it in, to understand, and how it had any context to the actual WandaVision story.
Yeah. Did you see Terrence's comment there? Was, this is why it's important to read comic books.
Yes, Terrence.
I'm with you, Terrence.
Yes.
I will say this. There is this idea in film, especially, that somewhere usually in late in the first act or early in the second act, you have a long scene that has almost no action and a lot of exposition that helps explain the universe that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I I know you hate this movie, but it's just the one that pops into my head right offhand. In Star Wars Episode 1, the scene where they're all sitting around the table eating dinner. This is that scene. There's almost no action. There's lots of exposition. They're explaining things that will then help the viewer understand the rest of the film.
But what's that main item? What's that thing that you're avoiding to say that brings it all together? Huh?
I'm not saying the M word.
Thank you.
There's a different M word I want to talk about tonight.
Okay.
But I think WandaVision, it doesn't have that.
No, you go right into it.
Yes.
And that's actually what's it about. All suddenly it happens. And it gives that mysteriousness to it. Let's see what he says. Jason Hamilton, what is it really necessary to bring that? Okay. Yeah, he's referring to the N word that we do not say. Yes.
Yes. There are tons of other movies that have this cliche scene in them. That's just the one that popped into my head off the top.
No. I know you like to you like to round.
Well, it's just the easiest movie to go. Okay, here's the really boring scene.
Exactly.
That explains a bunch of crap that
gotcha.
You didn't care about, but you had to explain it.
You didn't have to, but that's okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure in the first Thor movie, it was the diner scene where he and the doctor and
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy. They're all sitting around a table, and he's drinking, and he breaks his cup. Yes. But there's kind of this big exposition scene there where there's almost no action. It's that kind of thing, and WandaVision just doesn't have that.
Well, I think it's very few shows or movies that go into something like that. But the thing is, this has such a lot of context outside and resources outside the film itself. Yes. Now, if you stick in with the three, and if you're not very familiar, hey Vance, we miss you. We miss you too.
Missed you last week, Vance.
And you've been gone so long. We just switched places, so I don't know.
You'll have to go back and watch last week and see.
That's right. We were the other way around.
Yeah.
So where was that at again? No, I was talking about
that all the exposition is from outside.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I think if you're a quasi Marvel fan, you enjoy the movies and stuff, you remember, just hang in there, because this last episode brings that Marvel movie feel.
Yes, it definitely does.
The first three it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
And how many out there, I have a question, how many out there watching, would you rather have this show have the slow burn like it has up to this point? And I think it will continue a little bit as well. Or did you want episode 4 to be right off the bat?
Episode 1. Yeah.
Episode 4.
Should episode 4 have been episode 1?
Yes.
And explain what was going on?
Yeah.
Or did you like the slow burn? I personally liked the slow burn. I liked the build up. Yeah. I liked the it gave the movie some or the show. It gave it some anticipation.
Yeah.
It gave it some tension, because they were fun, but not quite right.
Well, it gave you a lot of.
Dan says he likes a slow burn.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, Dan, what time is it there? I'm just curious. Jason says slow burn done right is exquisite.
I don't know what he means by that. I don't want to know. Slow burn. Michael McCon says slow burn leaves some mystery. I agree with that. I like the puzzle, like a slow burn. Todd, VC said.
So it looks like most of our audience agrees with us.
Daryl says, as a fan, I like it, but if you're not a fan, you're not going far.
Yeah,
that could be. And Dan,
it's 1:30 a.m.
It's 1:30 a.m. Yes.
Well, we're glad to have you, Dan.
Send that man a mug. Go ahead.
I think I like it. I liked it. I think in retrospect, to get the audience more cohesive and on board early,
Yeah.
I think they could have dripped some of this in to each episode
Yeah.
rather than just, you know, the last 2 seconds of every episode hints at what's going to happen in episode 4.
Well, it's like the thing is, and what I loved about it, and it, for me, watching the first 3 episodes, you know it's going to build up to something. You see a lot of things that happen. They may be Easter eggs. They may not be Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. Dan says, I thought episode 4 was a bit like X-Files like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does have that feel.
Yeah. So going through the 3, you know, you're looking at all these different things and these weird things and these pauses, kind of like the beekeeper, you know, and you look through all of this stuff and you go, okay, what does that represent? What that is? And then 4 pops up and it helps explain, not fully explain, but kind of gives you some bits and pieces of what could be going on, who that person is. And what that whole time you're trying to put the pieces together. And then when 4 comes out, it's like, oh, okay, I was right about that. I wasn't right about that. So there's a lot there that can, you know, go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, along with that slow burn, one of my favorite things about episode 1, 2, and 3, not just that they gave us the feel of the look of a, you know, the first episode was obviously Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
You know, second episode was definitely Bewitched.
Yes.
Third episode was definitely Partridge Family, Brady
Bunch. Yeah.
Probably
Actually,
Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
But it not only did it have the set design and the clothing and the coloration, it was even shot more like a 50s show.
Yeah.
It was shot more like a 60s show. It was shot more. Yes, it was 4:3 instead of 16:9.
And I loved it when the reality hits.
Yes, it stretches out.
Yes.
Yeah. But in like the Dick Van Dyke episode,
yeah,
you know, it was shot like a Dick Van Dyke episode. Almost every shot was way wider than we would expect them to be today.
And what's funny, if you're familiar with the Dick Van Dyke show and you watch Nick at Night and you're old as I am, you know, there's the bit what I thought was kind of funny where normally he trips over the ottoman, but Wanda, he goes through it. So,
yes.
Yes,
Dan says great use of aspect ratios. Absolutely. Honestly, the editing, the production work they put into this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know who. Michael says they actually got advice from Dick Van Dyke. Now that's I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting. The background work, all of the little, you know, we talk about Easter eggs. Marvel, there are so many tiny little Easter eggs that there's no way we could go through all of them in this show.
Oh no, we can't. And you're going to go, and you could watch it again and probably come up with a slew of new other things. So
yes,
yeah.
So let's. I think we jump to the new episode, the 4th episode.
I agree
because
with that.
the first 3, we know there's different things, you know, different eras of time happening, and we start seeing cracks in the world.
Exactly.
So what do we see in episode 4?
Well, it kind of starts off where it kind of is a flashback, not a flashback, it kind of like a prelude of what actually happened up to that point. And it involves Monica Rambeau. And that was really interesting. Monica Rambeau, she, you know, of course, her mom is Marie Rambeau, who actually you find out in the series that she actually was a big, she actually built S.W.O.R.D. from the ground up.
So let's talk about S.W.O.R.D. for just a minute.
Let's do that.
So S.W.O.R.D. In the show, now this is something that's different. In the comics, S.W.O.R.D. is Sentient World Observation and Response Department. It is strictly, it is basically the off-world version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Okay. So, and once again, what do you think of that name? Well, it sounds like somebody really wanted to spell the word sword. Uh, but they've changed their name, or they never had that name. They have a different name, and it's Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Department, which is a whole different category.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't, although they allude to it in the show that they do a lot of space stuff, or they used to do a lot of space stuff. The idea that it's sentient weapons makes me think that Sword's real deal is they're keeping track of superhumans.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, general.
If there's a scene in the trailer, I don't know if it's in the trailer, but it's in episode 4. And it's the scene where Monica is welcomed by the director. Was it Director Watkins? What's the director's name? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Sword. Anyway, the director, basically said they were refocusing on nanotechnology, AI sentience, and all that good stuff. And he made a comment because Monica made a comment about what's on the door is that we monitor alien activity.
What about the observation?
And he basically and then the director tells Monica, well, things have changed since you've been gone, which let's go back in reverse since they've been gone.
Tiffany, bring up Michael's last comment. Because I think this is cool.
Yes.
The blip shown in a terrifying way, as opposed to the funny way it was in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Exactly.
And I think it's a brilliant change.
Yeah.
It definitely has the right feel. The Spider-Man movie was fun. It was a romp. Having people suddenly appear, the band suddenly appears on the basketball court and knocks people over,
Exactly.
It was fun and funny. Dude, this is dark and weird, and this is every nerd every nerd conversation about what happens when people come back.
Yeah, exactly.
This is it. It's like, what happens if your spouse remarried? What happens if somebody you were close to, as in Monica's situation, her mother died during the 5 years. And how frightening is that I wake up in the hospital room where my mother just had her surgery, and now she is gone. And then a doctor has to tell me that she died 3 years ago.
And imagine this. She was sitting there. She disappeared, and her mom had to spend the rest of the couple of years. I don't know how long she had yelled, because I think it was 2 years later when people reappeared. Mm-hmm. And, and her mom, didn't know what happened to her daughter. And then her illness came back again, and she died from it. And then here comes Monica coming out from the blip. And there's a total chaos. It was a great scene. It gave me goosebumps. And
absolutely. And Michael's next comment kind of alludes to the next thing is, if you think this is comedy, you haven't paid attention. This is a horror series. And I absolutely agree with him. Yeah. They use humor in these first few episodes to build up the idea that there are horrible things on the horizon, and I think the show is only going to get darker.
I think so too. I mean, you see glimpse of that. You see glimpse of that even in the first 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, they had the couple that was over for dinner, and they
yes,
they had the couple that was over for dinner, and in that. Her husband started choking, and she was dying for real. I thought it was interesting. Let me see here. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back.
Okay. Well,
let's go back a little.
You're talking about something. Okay. So before you go there, let's kind of explain what that is.
Yeah.
So in somebody, I was reading a comment that somebody said something about unit. That's a Doctor Who thing. So as Sword is investigating, they figure out that all of these people that are in the show are real people, but they have different real names.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're discovering who is who.
Yes, these are people from the town that's gotten caught up into it.
Yes.
Of course, that's where you meet that's where you meet Mr. Jimmy Woo.
Speaking of
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo. I love Jimmy Woo. And we get Darcy. Darcy Lewis?
Yes. Dr.
Darcy Lewis now. Yes. They are fantastic together.
I hope that they have a big part throughout this whole thing.
I hope they get a spin-off.
Exactly. I
totally agree. Get an X-Files kind of spin-off.
They could totally do that.
It would be a blast.
That in itself would be worth a subscription to Disney Plus.
Yes, it would. I would watch that every week.
I would. We would talk about it every week.
So these people. So you were about to say so this couple that goes to eat dinner with Wanda and Vision, we find out they really are a married couple.
Yeah, exactly.
So go ahead and pick up where you were.
Well, what's interesting about this, and I don't know if you picked it, I did some research on it, just kind of a backstory, but well, Sharon Davis is the person's name, and she was watching her husband Todd die. Now, what's funny is in all of this, and kind of a backstory, that's actually the name of a real person, Sharon Davis.
All of them are.
All of them. They all have a part on the show. And that's what's really funny, because when you see the retro TV show credits, there's actually their name. So it's a TV show within a TV show that they have their credits in. So
yeah, it
blows
really
my mind.
Brilliant.
But you see the fear. I think that's the first time you start seeing the fear of these people. And now looking back at it, you realize they feel like they need to participate or something bad is going to happen to them. That's the feeling that I get. But then sometimes they're flowing so well that I don't even know if they even know what they're doing. And I think, is that the reality, the consciousness of Wanda, where all suddenly there's these episodes where there's a bleep, where almost there's something bad happens, and then she makes an auto correction to get back to her reality.
Right. And I haven't decided what it is. Are they being controlled by her completely, or almost completely?
Yeah.
Or are they playing along because they're scared?
Yes. Now, that's some good acting, though, if they're playing along.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
I think so too.
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think it kind of depends on who's who. Now, interesting, when we see Jimmy Woo post up everybody,
yeah,
two things that are very specifically left out.
Yes.
One character is completely left out. Dottie is not on the board at
Dottie's
all.
not on the board.
Now, number two is Agnes. She's on the board, but she doesn't get a license.
Yeah, it doesn't have an identification to her.
Doesn't have any identification and no last name.
Yes.
So a lot of people speculate, and they've speculated this from the beginning.
From the very beginning.
That Agnes is actually Agatha from the comic books, who is a witch who helps train Wanda at one point in the comic books. So there's big questions there. And then there's a big conjecture of who Dottie is, and some people do you know much about this?
Yeah, I read some research on that. There's a scene where some of them think she might be some manifestation of Mephisto. Mephisto.
Yes.
Or because she makes a comment when they're having a pool party, the club, the society, whatever, community club of women. Yeah. And there was a scene that says, the details,
the devil's in the details.
Devil in the details.
Yes.
And but that actually
Agatha goes, and that's not only place he is. So,
which, may sound like a joke, but that could also represent something of him being all over the place. So I don't know.
Yeah, Todd says Agatha trains Wanda in the dark arts. Yes.
Yes.
So so that is a big question.
Yeah.
So some people are saying Dottie is Mephisto, or some variant in the Marvel universe, whatever they decide to bring in. Another idea is Mephisto is still going to be part of the show.
Yeah.
Dottie isn't necessarily Mephisto, but we're hinting, we're dropping the hints.
Well, also too, keep in mind that, you know, in the scene where, you know, Monica comes to assist the FBI agent, you know, Wu, you know, he makes the comment where he's actually came here for a missing person, and it was someone in the witness protection program. And he mentioned, because apparently, I guess there's a radius of 5 miles that causes amnesia. It was mentioned in there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It appears that
it mentions that in there. But back to the witness protection program, nobody knows who he is or she is.
Nobody remembers who she is.
Okay,
you said something interesting. You said he or she.
Yes.
Every video I've read says he.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
I think Monica says he.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Wu ever says it's a he.
Yeah, I don't think Wu ever says he's a he.
I think Wu says they. I could be wrong. I've got to go back and rewatch the show. I didn't have time to rewatch it today to make sure. But everybody I've watched and read about all have said it was a guy. But so I don't know that Jimmy Woo says it's a guy.
I don't think he said anything specific on gender. No.
So there's the question. Okay, so if
anybody out in the audience, if they picked up on that, or they can confirm it, let us know, please.
Absolutely. So is Dottie in witness protection? Or is Agatha, because we know Agatha is going to be a major player.
You know, and what's interesting with Agatha,
I keep forgetting we have pictures.
Oh man, yeah. Go ahead. I did the same thing.
Speaking of Agatha,
let's do this.
Photos of Agatha. We know she's going to be important.
Yeah, she is.
She is definitely a recurring flavor because of the door.
Exactly.
You know, and she knows Monica wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah. Well, you know, and there's a scene where, you know, Agatha was talking to the neighbor, and I can't remember the neighbor's name. He was the larger black guy. He was. Oh no,
that's her husband.
Really?
Yes, I believe they're married.
I thought there were two different people. I thought her husband, she mentions, is one of those like TV tropes that you never actually see the husband.
I thought, Dan, Dottie is the blonde. Well, I assume it was blonde. It was black and white. She was the one who was in charge of the event.
Yes.
She was the one that was planning the event. She cut her hand on a glass when it broke. So that's who Dottie is.
Yeah.
She was only in the one episode.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I don't think they didn't put Dottie on the board.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Dottie is not as important as people want to make her be, just because she hasn't been a regular. I think Agatha is going to be huge.
Yeah, she was just in one episode. One thing that was relevant, it was really important in that episode, was that when Dottie cut her hand, the blood was colorized. And I think and I was reading somewhere, and they talk about, as things turn into color, it's almost like it's trying to kind of represents reality.
Yes.
And of course, but the funny thing about it, like, well, we'll go back and talk about, you know, Monica before she got sucked into the reality in Westview. You know, the sword helicopter, the drone, you know, the drone was sent in, it disappeared.
Yep.
And of course,
didn't send any video back.
And then later on, when Wanda found it, it looked like, I know the colors was colorized. It was colorized, and the helicopter
the helicopter had changed colors. It looked more like Iron Man colors.
I was reading. Go ahead. You gonna? Are you leading up to that?
The original one she sat down was blue and red and gold,
Yes.
which looked more like Captain Marvel colors. But the one that Wanda picks up is gold and red and looks more like Iron Man colors, which I don't know that that's relevant. But
it might be. It might
sometimes
be.
I wonder if things are really relevant or they just do it because they're like, oh, people will wonder what this means.
Well, I mean, let's, I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves. I guess we just jump in wherever we have situations, what do we think of. But, Darcy was making the comment about this radio that was in the kitchen of Wanda.
Yes.
And it was made by Stark Corporation, and it had a red light on the top, like it was a forehead. And they were talking about how, there's almost this metaphor of Stark created vision, and that represents vision, and as it represents like a cold device, instead of an emotional being. So I read that and I thought that was interesting. Daryl says, do y'all think Wanda has control of what she's doing? I think that's a good question.
What do you think?
I don't think she realized what she's doing. I think she's going into this consciousness that's so strong of what she wants. And then sometimes when she realizes she's coming back out to reality, then she has to fix it. Kind of like they would do editing a video, like they did in the old TV shows. Yeah. So I don't know. I think to a point she's controlling it. I think maybe there might be a more bigger picture, mysterious picture in the background.
Yep. I think she's controlling it. I think she's losing it. And I said from the beginning, when we were just seeing the trailers, just the trailers, my big question was, because all we could see Sword outside. Yeah. And my big question was, is Sword keeping Wanda in this space?
Yeah.
Or is Sword trying to make sure this space doesn't get out of hand?
And I think it's the latter. I think it's out of hand.
I think at this point that is definitely the answer to the question. It's Sword is trying to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, and maybe we should talk about hexagons.
Well, real quick, since we're talking about keeping things from spreading, the comment about when they're talking about a radius of 5 miles. And of course, a lot of them thought the radius was a lot smaller. Mm-hmm. Now it makes me wonder if this radius as time and this radius of, well, Darcy, what basically, and we do need to talk about what what she detects Wanda broadcast is, and they call them CMDR radiation.
Yes, the cosmic background radiation.
Yeah, exactly.
And the idea here is, the scientific idea here is, when the Big Bang happened, a lot of cosmic radiation was released. Mm-hmm. And and they actually discovered this. Mm-hmm. They had this huge radio telescope, and they kept getting all this background noise. They couldn't figure out what it was. They would clean it. At first, they thought it was pigeon poo, and they cleaned off the... I'm serious. This is legit. Like, they cleaned off the dishes, and they, they did everything they could do to figure out, to get rid of it. Later, some other scientists predicted that this was a thing, and they figured out that a couple of years before, these scientists had already discovered it and didn't know what it was and were trying to get rid of it. And this is why we have snow on our TVs. Mm-hmm. Let me rephrase that. This is why we used to have snow on our TVs, because we don't send TV this way anymore.
And that's why Darcy, when she was picking up the radiation, that's why she asked for an old TV, a non-flat TV.
A non-flat TV.
And I thought it was funny, and as she got tuned into the show, You can tell she got invested in it, like she was watching a real TV show.
Yes, I love it. She's just
And she actually
chips
says
and
that. She actually says that. She
that
looks
is
and said,
that's in
"What? I'm invested in it."
I think that's in the trailer. Yeah, I think that's in the trailer. She's crying. Are you crying? Oh my goodness. But yeah,
So
that is fascinating. Now, okay, so let me throw out a few things here.
okay,
Cosmic radiation. Okay, I'm stretching just a little bit.
okay,
Okay,
dope. I'll let you.
so cosmic background radiation is a thing. We can. It's scientifically. It's true. This is a thing. Okay, cosmic radiation has been a Marvel thing since the 60s. And cosmic radiation is why the Fantastic Four are who they are.
I've heard rumors about this.
So
I've heard rumors. Yeah.
So some people are suggesting they're throwing out this cosmic radiation thing. Number one. Number two, Sword used to have a group of astronauts, and everybody backed out. So it is possible that they are building up that Sword will have a group of 4 astronauts in the future that get into cosmic radiation and become the Fantastic Four.
Now, speaking of the space, now I'm going to backtrack, because you're thinking, okay, well, so I can't remember his name. Samuel L. Jackson.
In space, in
his
you're talking about with the Skrulls?
Yeah, no? I'm trying to think of his name because I cannot think of his character's name.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. I don't know why. Anyway, so
that's all right.
Okay,
we have a lot of names to throw around today.
So a lot of people wonder, okay, so how is Nick Fury tied in everything? And of course, if you go back to Nick Fury when in Captain Marvel, the younger Nick Fury,
1990s.
He gets a relationship with, a friendly relationship, professional relationship with Monica's mother, Maria. Yep. And of course, here's Maria, who
and he even says in the movie something about we need to work together in the future.
And you think about it, the people who, they thought the enemy aliens were actually the peaceful aliens. The aliens were those are the aliens that were being hunted. And so anyway, so Maria has that experience with those aliens. Also, she eventually goes to space. And eventually what happened at the end of Spider-Man's Away From Home?
Yeah. We have
at the end,
Nick
Fury on this large, whatever space station or something with all the other on vacation. Yeah. With the
Tahiti.
Tahiti. Tahiti. Whatever happened to Tahiti? Don't talk about it. It's a whole different episode. We don't talk about
show.
Yeah. We don't say the M word or the T word anymore, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, and with the Krull, he's all over the ship with, the species, and there seems like to me they're there protecting, an observation, protecting line of defense, whatever. But I think so there's a tie in there, and of course in a scene where the director, as they're walking in, talked about since the blip and those who remained, that no one had the nerve to go back up in space, so their astronauts were all grounded, and she was upset because she wanted to go to space. Yes. And that's when the director says, no, you need to meet up with Mr. Jimmy Woo.
Yes. So big question.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to bring up the M word.
Go ahead.
This is the Marvel M word.
Okay.
And it's mutants.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the House of M, okay, so a lot of this is kind of background on the House of M idea. Maybe, sort of. It's super loose. In the House of M, we have Wanda losing control, creating her own reality that does cover the entire world, puts mutants in control of the world. She fractures when she finds that her children aren't real.
Yeah.
And she says the words, "No more mutants," and 90% of the mutants in the world are wiped out. So, my big idea, this is my belief, that we're going to do a reverse House of M. And Wanda is somehow going to lose control and create mutants.
Interesting.
So the idea,
that's a long story, Dan.
What is House of M? Yeah, House of M. What I just told you is the shortest House of M explanation I can give you. Wanda goes crazy, finds out her kids aren't real, and destroys all the mutants. That's it. Other than that, go check out the comics. It's amazing. So if it's a reverse House of M,
yeah.
When Monica gets blown out of the bubble,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
is she going to gain her superpowers?
And
because in the comics,
exactly.
In the comics, she is, at one point, she's Captain Marvel. She gets 2 or 3 names. One of the names is very specifically Photon.
Photon, yeah.
Which is her mother's call name as a pilot.
Yeah.
So, is Monica... I think Monica will get powers, and I think it will happen in this series. I don't know if she got them just now.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think just now. It may be something that she discovers as time goes on, some subtle things. But I don't know.
And my thought is, if Wanda is somehow the reason she gets powers, I think Wanda will be the reason we have mutants and we have the X-Men.
Well, that makes
come into the.
Well, that makes
series.
sense. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, let's.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
I know we were going to talk about the Hive and the Beekeeper. You want to get into that?
We could talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about the hexes first.
The hexes.
Okay.
That's okay,
the hexagons. Yeah. Hexagons. And then you can talk about the Beekeeper guy. I was kind of the two. I was kind of thinking that was interesting. The beehive, hexagon, that whole thing. I mean, I don't want to have hexagons are going ridiculous.
It's
in the
nuts.
Show.
Yes, I know.
It's absolutely nuts.
In the introduction and the ending credits. Yes, exactly.
Yes, in the maps at Westview are all in a hexagon.
Yeah,
the anomaly is a hexagon. So in the comics, Wanda's powers early on are considered hex powers because she's a witch. Okay, so I think they're I think they're taking the hexagon to extremes because of her hex powers. But it's possible that there's more to it than that. I don't know that there's more to it than that.
I was reading some stuff on that, and of course they were making the relationship to the Beekeeper, which actually was the agent that went underground. He was in a hazmat outfit. He come up, he had bees, and of course with all the little hectagons all over the place.
Yeah, the beehive is the beehive is hexagons.
Yeah, so people are thinking, well, maybe Hive.
Yes, so Marvel Comics villain called Hive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Dan means.
I thought the Beekeeper seemed very Dharma.
Initiative. Okay.
Initiative.
I'm not sure. So if he is Hive, okay. There's 2 sides. There's 2 possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. He would have to have been Hive and infiltrated Sword.
Exactly.
Or Wanda is giving him his powers.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm okay with him being Hive if Wanda gives him his powers, because then my theory all works, that she's going to give lots of people powers.
Yeah. As long as your theory is correct, then everything will be okay.
That's all I care about. My theory is correct.
I do have something I wanted to bring up. This was when it was on 4, of course.
Okay,
When,
so before we go
but
there,
okay,
I'll just say, I don't think he's Hive.
I don't think he is either.
I think that was just the closest thing that her brain could think of that would make sense
I
based
agree
on
with
the
you.
shape of his suit.
Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so go ahead.
So no, but the scene where Wanda confronts Monica because Monica
Yes.
makes a comment about, I thought Ultron was dead, and of course, all suddenly it breaks Wanda's reality.
Yes.
And Wanda, questions her, "Who are you? What's that on your? What necklace is that?" Which was the sword necklace.
Yeah.
And of course, basically just tossed her out,
Yep.
out in the middle of the field, out of the bubble. And so, but the scene that gets me is, she parts that you don't see in the previous episodes.
Yeah.
That
we just saw this scene in episode 3.
Yeah.
But we get a new view of it.
So we get a new view of it where you see there's more of a horror factor, which Michael McCann mentioned. And here she is, she realized this was the first time, I think it was a big gape in her reality, what just happened, being confronted from the outside, hearing Ultron, which ties into her brother dying and all this other stuff. So, and then Vision walks in, and Vision, his head looks like this gray, like a dead corpse. Yeah. Of course, a big gap where, Thanos, took out the Mind Stone. And then the next thing you know, it's back together. It's red. It's, you have the Mind Stone. But during this time too, Vision, it seems like Vision kind of knows the jigs is up, something going on. And then Wanda kind of reverses things or able to talk to him to basically, everything's okay, honey.
I'm so glad you went here.
Yes.
Because I have huge questions. This is where the big question of, is Vision alive, or is Vision a creation of Wanda? And I think, personally, Vision is alive to some extent.
Well, you understand.
What do you think?
You think about this. Vision was a creation of Ultron and Jarvis. Remember this. Jarvis was AI. You could put him in anything.
Yep.
So Jarvis became, the Vision. Why can't that still play? There's, that same entity in Jarvis, whatever that is, an AI within there, somehow it meshes with Wanda. It's almost like they're a part of each other in some way. As far as, and with Vision, but it's interesting. I don't know if Vision is some kind of a consciousness that keeps trying to wake her up to the reality, because there's so many times where he's caught on and he's, in the situation, like, it's a real moment there that brings you to reality, where Vision goes to Wanda after you can tell Wanda's upset, after she just, threw Monica Rambeau outside of her reality, and Vision looks at her, we can leave. We can go someplace else. And she looks at him and go, no, we can't. Because she knows this is the only reality that he can live in. So yes, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
I can totally buy that. My question is my question of, is he alive or is he completely a construct of Wanda?
Yeah,
is that he is developing his own thoughts.
Yes.
He's having conversations away from Wanda that Wanda is not privy to.
Yeah.
And kind of questioning her.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
And there's this scene in the trailer where Vision goes to the barrier and appears to go through it.
Oh, I forgot about that in the trailer. Oh, wow.
So
Yes.
I think Vision is alive in some format. I don't know what that means.
Well, how do you think all of this is going to tie into the multiverse with Doctor Strange? Because Feige did say that this is going to tie in with that movie, so there's no spoilers there.
No. That is honestly, that's where I think the Mephisto thing could be legit.
Okay.
Because that's a different version of the multiverse kind of idea. You know, Mephisto's from a different dimension. Wanda's kids in the comics, Wanda's kids are actually part Mephisto.
Shards.
They're shards of Mephisto. Yeah.
I just sharded myself. Oh, go ahead. Never mind.
I think that's different.
That's a different shard. Because
those don't come to life.
I was disturbed when I read that. I'm thinking, wait, he sharded those kids? That's not right. I mean, that's not right at all. I mean,
oh, that's nasty.
I know.
You've been waiting all show to tell that joke.
I really did. I almost forgot about it, and then you gave it to me all wrapped up on a platter. Thank you.
So I think Mephisto, if Mephisto is going to be part of this series, I think that is how this will lead into the Multiverse of Madness thing. I think Mephisto will then be the big bad of the Doctor Strange movie.
So kind of going back to seeing Vision and kind of like a gray corpse, you know, what do you think that represents? What when you saw that, what came to your mind?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I had been building up that he was alive in some way.
Yeah.
But then when you see the ashen faced,
that's what's me too. That's what
I'm like, okay, now then is he just did she just animate a corpse?
Yeah.
Is it all her?
Yeah.
But he keeps having these conversations with people.
Now, Daryl McCarty made the comment, I wonder if she has his body.
I think legit that is his body.
Yes.
And
using it to tap into his body. Yeah.
I have no doubt that is his body.
And that's something to think about, Daryl. You know, is it the body? Is it mind control? But to me, again, for most of the show, and my hope was that Vision was still alive. And when I saw that scene, you know, as him as a corpse, gray head, you know, the stone out, I was kind of like, what's happening? What's going on? Is it a corpse? Is she just using his body, his remains, and
that's not just creepy at all?
Hey, it's a horror movie, right?
Just a little necrophilia for fun.
Are you? The scene of the beds coming together is what I thought about.
The
scene that came together with the bed. All suddenly they're separate. I Love Lucy,
Wonder Woman, and Chris Evans, Chris Pine, Wonder Woman and Chris Pine. That's whole creepy weird. And now we have Wanda and Vision, and that's creepy weird. Why do we have this?
It's creepy weird within itself, but even with that.
Why do these two?
Do we want to talk about Leia kissing Luke or Luke kissing Leia? Are we going to get in that? Are we going? Because this show just went off the rails.
Off the rails.
We've just moved to Arkansas, the show, for some reason. If you're in Arkansas, we don't mean anything by that. We just, you know.
I don't know. I think she definitely has this body. I think there is a legit physical form. Whether he has a mind in there. Maybe. I would love to see the end of this show with a reformed Vision.
Well, in the comics, And again, I did some research in the comics. She's done that before. You know,
she's brought people back to life.
Brought people life before.
Back in the House of M, I think maybe it wasn't House of M. There was Avengers series where she physically brings Hawkeye back to life.
No, I haven't, but also now I'm referring to you on this because I know you know a little bit more of the comic background on this. But I read somewhere where Vision actually, whether he was died and he was put in a different body, like a white body, or explain that to me.
He does. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember that storyline, but I know it exists. Okay. He does come back. He kind of comes back a little weird. He doesn't quite have all the emotional attachment to Wanda that she had.
Okay.
But he does come back in a white body.
Okay.
So that's a possible storyline to go with. I would love to see Vision returned as a full-fledged hero back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Now, with all of this going on, and Agatha, you know, of course, she's been the main proponent from the very first season about mentioning about, you know, do you have kids? You know, it's for the kids. There's this mention of kids.
It's for the children.
Now, do you think?
See, that's where I think the Mephisto thing comes in.
Yeah, that's one of my questions there.
If we're gonna sell the idea that it's Mephisto, and if it's Mephisto, then it has to deal with her kids.
Yeah.
And if it has to do, you know, we've had several comments about stuff for the kids, and do you have kids, and when are you gonna have kids? That's where the children comments are what make me feel like Mephisto is going to be there. I really hope this is all going to lead into a Young Avengers in the future.
I'm just having this explosion in my head with so many questions. Oh, when you said that, it reminded me, remembering the scene where they were the boss and the wife was at dinner, and when the topic came up about, are you going to have kids? It was right after that, right at that moment, he starts slamming the table. Why don't you know? Why don't you know? Why don't you know? And he went on and on and on. And what hit me was, you know, is in the back Mephisto, he's wanting the children.
Yeah.
And so is he controlling some of this? Manipulating some of this? Because you see throughout it, there's this, because why would Agatha do that? Why would Agatha
if Mephisto's involved, he has some control here. What control he has, I don't know.
Now, why would Agatha keep pushing her having children? That whole thing. We know that it could be with Mephisto, with the shards and the shard myself and the kids, and so what do you think there?
I think they're making Agatha into a bad guy.
I get that feeling. I think
in the comics, she wasn't really a bad guy.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Her son, Agatha has a son that ends up being a bad guy, a bad magician. He becomes a major Fantastic Four villain. But she isn't really a villain.
Yeah, and that's what I couldn't understand. I mean, even with the person that played her husband, she had this concern in her face, when Monica was Monica was talking to Wanda. You can see the fear in her face. And what's funny, her husband was going to say something, something about,
because we're all trapped or something.
Almost going to say trapped. And that's when Agatha just says,
as he's slowly trying to cut through the brick wall with a hedge trimmer. It's so weird.
Exactly. It's like something malfunctioned. Something's going on.
I don't understand.
I don't understand it. This series, I mean, I like the slow burn because now
I did too.
It
made it creepier.
If you invest in the 3, it's well worth it, because when you see 4, it's like candy. It's like you're in a candy store and you have like a head explosion. I mean, you're going to be all over the place. And I can't wait till the next episode and see what they build from this. I wonder if I think they're going to go right back into the series, like the little, like the sitcoms. And
I
maybe
think we'll see more of the sword side than we
Yeah.
have in the previous episodes. But I think you're right. I think it'll be less sword and more Wanda and Vision
Yeah.
in their little world.
yeah,
But I think we're going to see a lot more back and forth.
I think so
from
too. A
now
lot
on.
of reaction going on. So especially since we have Darcy and Agent Wu, which
Yes, because they're brilliant. Oh my
is
goodness,
what
I
a
love
great.
them.
I do too. Man, I know
Uh,
we talked about going till 8 o'clock or Central
Yeah, we
Time,
went way
and that
over.
we went over. And when you said that, I thought to myself, it can't be done. So
I know. I said it, and then I was like, "We're so gonna go way over."
it's not
but
gonna. Yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
yeah.
That's okay though.
Is there
I don't know that I have any. Oh, I do have one other just offhand comment.
Yeah,
The hexagon thing.
yeah,
There's so much. There's been so much Infinity Stone things.
Yeah.
You know, over the past few years. I mean, there's 6 of them.
hmm
So,
Yeah.
so maybe the hexagons are going to play into the Infinity Stones in some way. Maybe
It has to
it's
play
just-
into something because they keep showing it. And they
There's
keep
too
showing
many.
it. There's
There's too many.
I mean, it's enough that little subtleties can become something, but when you have it
Yeah.
such as obvious as that,
Yeah. I will say this. I've seen a lot of people that keep trying to throw into, oh, we're going to find out this whole thing it's Hydra. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think this is Hydra.
I don't think so.
I think we're either I don't think they're going to make Wanda the bad guy.
I don't think so.
I think somebody is lightly manipulating Wanda. I think Wanda is absolutely did this herself. She absolutely is going crazy, and somebody is taking advantage of it. Who that is? Agatha, maybe, or Agatha is the person who's in witness protection.
And that could be a thought there. Maybe she's hiding from Mephisto.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not. I
absolutely.
mean, I'm being real. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She is, it is a witch thing, and
Yeah.
Mephisto fits in with that, mythology.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where we're going, but I definitely think there's going to be a big bad we haven't seen yet.
I tell you what, I think it's a great setup. I hope people, who got back off of fell off the wagon, get back on the wagon.
Yeah.
Watch the 3 again or whatever you didn't
Now that
watch.
there's 4 that you can binge,
Yeah.
I hope people will binge them.
Yeah.
And honestly, if somebody says, yeah, I'm just not so much into this weird thing, I would say watch episode 4 first.
Yeah.
Then go watch 1, 2, and 3, and you'll love them.
Yeah, because actually, if you could take the first one, you can take the 4th one and just plug it up front. And
Yep. And
it'll
I
tell the
don't think
story.
you would. I think you would lose some of the tension,
Yes.
but I don't think you would lose much of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm personally
I think it
glad.
could work either way.
I'm personally glad I got to see it in that format, in that
Me too.
segment. So
Me too.
very good. Very good.
Any-
I have nothing
any other
else, my
last
friends.
words?
I don't. I just, again,
I don't think I do either.
no. It's next week's Valentine's. Is that right?
No.
No.
Next. Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Next Wednesday will be our last episode before Valentine's Day. So should we do a show about what you should buy your Valentine?
I know last year we did our Valentine special, and I think we should do that next week.
Okay.
When it comes
Valentine's
to Valentine's,
special.
we'll do that next week. And
So if you're not sure what to buy for your Valentine, see us next week.
Valentine's nerd. Yes.
Hey, Dan.
Thank you for joining us, Dan, across the pond. Man, it's awesome. Thank you for spending the night with us. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I love it when we get viewers,
Who are
overseas,
way outside our
way
time
out there
zone.
time zone. Yeah.
Got
Thank
people
you, Todd.
watching from New Zealand while they're working.
Hey,
in the
that's
middle of the
awesome.
day.
Man, that's awesome. Well, just don't
Love it.
forget next Wednesday. It's 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on Wednesday nights. We're gonna have our Valentine's special. What to give your the nerd in your life, among some
Yes.
other things. me having Ricky in a Cupid outfit, strung up against the ceiling. Some fun stuff like that. So if you want to see that live, then come to the show.
If you show up in a diaper, I'm just gonna sign off.
What do you think I'm in now? Hey, babe, you need to change me.
I think we need to end the show.
Okay.
This has been the Something About Something show with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Pope. Seriously, someone needs to change me.